Hello viewers, welcome to UN College digital class. We had already discussed about section 1 to section 27 of Domestic Violence Act 2005, and in this class we will discuss further to know about the provisions under the Domestic Violence Act 2005. So we will proceed. First we will discuss about section 28 of Domestic Violence Act 2005. Here in this section there is procedure. Save as otherwise provided in this act, all proceedings under sections 12, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 and 23 and offences under section 31 shall be governed by the provisions of the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973. Services under section 12, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 and 23 like compensation order, residence order, protection order provided to the aggrieved person for the development of the aggrieved person, providing different facilities to the aggrieved person. These provisions will be provided for the aggrieved person under these sections, which is defined under Criminal Procedure Law 1973. For 2, nothing in subsection 1 shall prevent the court from laying down its own procedure for disposal of an application under section 12 or under subsection 2 of section 23. Under section 12 or subsection 2 of section 23, laying down of disposal of application, which we had already discussed in section 12. The magistrate have to dispose the application of the aggrieved person in between 60 days from the date of its first hearing in court. Section 29, there is appeal. There shall lie an appeal to the court of session within 30 days from the date on which the order made by the magistrate is served on the aggrieved person or the respondent, as the case may be, whichever is latter. The magistrate ordered the service for the aggrieved persons or for the respondent, then they have to appeal for the provisions in between 30 days of the order. Then section 30, there is protection officers and members of service providers to be public servants. The protection officers and members of service providers while acting or purporting to act in pursuance of any of the provisions of this act or any rules or orders made thereunder shall be deemed to be public servants within the meaning of section 21 of the Indian Penal Code. When the protection officer and the service provider providing service to the aggrieved person for fight against their problem, then they should be public servants, because they are providing service to the public for develop their lifestyle, which is defined under Indian Penal Code. Then section 31, penalty for breach of protection order by respondent. Part 1, a breach of protection order or of an interim protection order by the respondent shall be an offence under this act and shall be punishable with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 1 year or with fine which may extend to 20,000 rupees or with both. Here breach means failing to observe any law or code of conduct or any agreement. If a respondent fails to observe or fails to follow the order of the court, then respondent will be punishable for imprisonment of 1 year or fine of 20,000 rupees or both the imprisonment and fine. Part 2, the offence under subsection 1 shall as far as practicable be tried by the magistrate who had passed the order, the breach of which has been alleged to have been caused by the accused. The magistrate who had passed the order, the aggrieved person who break the rule which has been passed without proof have been caused by the accused. For 3, file framing charges under subsection 1, the magistrates may also frame charges under section 498A of the Indian Penal Code, 45 of 1860 or any other provisions of that code, or the Dowry Prohibition Act 1961, 28 of 1961, as the case may be, if the facts disclose the commission of an offence under those provisions. If the facts of case disclose, then the aggrieved person get provision. Fees depends on fact. The magistrate frame charges under section 498A of Indian Penal Code, or there is any other provisions of that code, which is Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. Section 32, here the cognizance and proof. Cognizance means knowledge or awareness. Notwithstanding anything contained in the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973, 2 of 1974, the offence under subsection 1 of section 31 shall be cognizable and non-bailable. Here, if the respondent commit any crime, then he should be punishable for his offence, which is defined in section 31, which we will discuss later under Code of Criminal Procedure 1973, and this offence always non-bailable and cognizable also. Part 2, upon the sole testimony of the aggrieved person, the court may conclude that an offence under subsection 1 of section 31 has been committed by the accused. When the aggrieved person give a single formal statement on the respondent for his offence, then the court will take this offence or accepted that the offence should be made by the respondent or by the accused. Then section 33, that is penalty for not discharging duty by protection officer. If any protection officer fails or refuses to discharge his duties as directed by the magistrate in the protection order without any sufficient cause, he shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 1 year, or with fine which may extend to 20,000 rupees, or with both. If any protection officer discharges his duty or fails to do his duty and he has no valid reason or sufficient explanation for that discharges of duty which is ordered by the magistrate, then the protection officer will be punishable for imprisonment of 1 year or fine of 20,000 rupees, or both the imprisonment and fine. Section 34, under that section there is cognizance of offence committed by protection officer. No prosecution or other legal proceeding shall lie against the protection officer unless a complaint is filed with the previous sanctions of the state government or an officer authorized by it in this behalf. If a complaint filed with the previous sanction of the state government, then no legal proceeding shall lie against the protection officer. Then section 35, under that section, protection of action taken in good faith. No suit, prosecution or other legal proceeding shall lie against the protection officer for any damage caused or likely to be caused by anything which is in good faith done or intended to be done under this act, or any rule or order made thereunder. When the action taken for protection in good faith or belief, then there is no prosecution or there is no legal proceeding shall lie against the protection officer for any damage or for any problem of the provisions under this section. Section 36, there is act not in derogation of any other law. The provisions of this act shall be in addition to and not in derogation of the provisions of any other law for the time being in force. Here, derogation means relaxation of a rule or law. under this section, no relaxation of any rule or law when the respondent fail to follow the rule or regulations, then there is no relaxation for him. Then section 37, power of central government to make rules. Here there is power of central government to make rules for protection of the women. Part 1, the central government may by notification make rules for carrying out the provisions of this act. The central government always making rules for proceeding the law and legislations and provisions and the facilities of the Domestic Violence Act, through which the aggrieved person can get her rights or the aggrieved person can get provisions and facilities under this section or under this act. These rules made by the central government. Part 2, in particular and without prejudice to the generality of the foregoing power, such rules may provide for all or any of the following matters, namely, here some rules provide for all or some specific matters also. Part A, the qualification and experience which a protection officer shall possess under subsection 2 of section 8. There is under subsection 2 of section 8, there is criteria for the protection officer, because anyone can be a protection officer. There is some specific qualification and specific experience to be a protection officer who will protect the woman from her problem, from her issue. Then part B, the terms and conditions of service of the protection officers and the other officers subordinate to him under subsection 3 of section 8. Here the terms and conditions of service of the protection officer and also the terms and conditions or the duties mentioned for the subordinates who will help, who will coordinate the protection officer to do his duty. Then part C, the form and manner in which a domestic incident report may be made under clause B of subsection 1 of section 9. Under subsection 1 of section 9, there is the formation or the manner by which the aggrieved person can file a domestic incident report through the help of the protection officer. The form and the manner in which an application for protection order may be made to the magistrate under clause C of subsection 1 of section 9. Under clause C of subsection 1 of section 9, how application for protection order made to the magistrate. There is the form of or manner by which aggrieved person can give an application for protection order to the protection officer. Then for T, the form in which a complaint is to be filed under clause D of subsection 1 of section 9. About the form in which the aggrieved person file a complaint or the way of complaint lodge. Then part F, the other duties to be performed by the protection officer under clause of subsection 1 of section 9. Under subsection 1 of section 9, there is the duties performed by the protection officer except the protection order. There is other duties of him. Then part G, the rules regulating registration of service providers under subsection 1 of section 10. There is under subsection 1 of section 10 rules and regulations for the service providers who are providing service to the women in our society, or for the aggrieved person who are facing problem in our society to survive their life. The service providers or the voluntary organizations who are providing service, they have to register under either Society Registration Act or Companies Act or under the Trust Act. They have to register under these acts for doing his activities under our state government, through which state government will accept the voluntary organizations as a service provider or as a service provide organization. Then part H, the form in which an application under subsection 1 of section 12 seeking reliefs under this act may be made, and the particulars which such applications shall contain under subsection 3 of that section. This is about different relief of women, different relief or provisions provided government or provided by the service provider agencies to the women, like monetary relief, compensation order, residence order. There is different reliefs and provisions for the aged persons who are facing problem in our society. Then part I, the means of serving notice under subsection 1 of section 13. The magistrate ordered for provisions for the aged person, and the magistrate has to serving of notice for the aged person. Through this notice, the magistrate can provide service, or magistrate can inform the aged person about the service provided by the court or provided by the government. Then part J, the form of declaration of service of notice to be made by the protection officer under subsection 2 of section 13. Here under subsection 2 of section 13, when the protection officer provided service to the aged person, then the protection officer has to give a notice or has to forward a notice to the aged person about the provisions provided by the protection officer or by the government. Then part K, the qualifications and experience in counselling which a member of the service provider shall possess under subsection 1 of section 14. Here criteria for qualification and experience of a counsellor who will counsel the aged person. Because of counselling, the aged person can get mentally free or can get psychological support and motivation from relaxation from her problem. Then the counsellor have specific qualification and experience also, because anyone cannot be a counsellor. So there is specific criteria for counselling. Then part L, the form in which an affidavit may be filed by the aged person under subsection 2 of section 23. The aged person has to file an affidavit under subsection 2 of section 23. Then part M, any other matter which has to be or may be prescribed. Other matters also or other issues for which there is need of different provisions. Then part 3, every rule made under this act shall be laid as soon as may be after it is made before each house of parliament while it is in session for a total period of 30 days, which may be comprised in one session or in 2 or more successive sessions, and if before the expiry of the session immediately following the session or the successive sessions aforesaid both houses agree in making any modification in the rule, or both houses agree that the rule should not be made, the rule shall thereafter have effect only in such modified form or be of no effect as the case may be. So, however, that any such modification or annulment shall be without prejudice to the validity of anything previously done under this rule. Rules should not be made only, rules should be effective. When the rule implemented properly, then the rule should be effective, and all the beneficiaries who will get benefit from the provisions or from the Domestic Violence Act, then when the rule will be implemented perfectly, then the beneficiary can get benefit from this act or from provisions under this act provided for the victims or the aged persons. This is all about the sections of Domestic Violence Act 2005. Now, here how law can help you, or through law we can get help, but what is the way or what are the provisions, which we had already discussed in briefly, but here we will see the points which will help us in our real life. There is protection order. Under protection order we will get provisions or we will get facilities and support from eradicating the domestic violence issue, because the government will provide protection under protection order from any activity of domestic violence. When we are facing any type of domestic violence issue, then the protection order will provide protection to the victim or to the aggrieved person. Then there is residence order or right to reside. There is right to live. Under residence order, there is provisions for reside or living with the other family members, either single or jointly with the family members, or different shelter where the aggrieved person or the victim can live her life safely or securely. Under monetary reliefs, the aggrieved person can get financial support, or when the aggrieved person or the victim is facing or suffered losses and lost her valuable property or any valuable gifts or cash, then the court order for monetary reliefs for the aggrieved person. And here there is custody order, where both the husband and wife will separated from each other, but they have child or children. So there is a term custody. Who will take the custody? Then the court ordered who will take the custody of child or children. Then there is compensation order. Compensation order means under this order the aggrieved person will complain or will file a complaint for getting compensation from the respondent for her and also for her child or children, through which she can get facility or she can get help financially or any other types support for her or for her children, which is compensation from the respondent. Then there is interim or expert order. Here interim means temporary orders. When there is an urgent issue that needs action while the court process is going on, the temporary order by judges or administrative agency provided for the provisions of the aggrieved person. Then where can you file a case? You can file case in the court of judicial magistrate of the first class or the metropolitan magistrate within the local limits of the area where you permanently or temporarily resides or carry on business or employed. It means where the aggrieved person or where you are living permanently or temporarily, or you are proceeding your business in a place, or from where you are employed, or from which place you are employed or you are doing your job in any office, or you are staying for your employment or for your job. From nearest place or nearest police station you can file a complaint where the perpetrator permanently or temporarily resides or carry on business or employed, or where the respondent is living temporarily or permanently, or the respondent has business or proceeding his business in a place, or where the respondent is doing a job or living for his job. From that place or in that place you can file a complaint in nearest police station for your problem. You can file domestic incident report or FIR for your support. Last one is the action where the action taken place, or where you are facing domestic violence issue from that place or in nearest police station of that place, you can file a complaint or you can file a affair for your domestic violence issue. So, here we will discuss about where you can give a complaint or where you can file a complaint for eradicate domestic violence issue. Then what are the needs to fight against domestic violence? Here, what are the needs to fight against domestic violence issue? It means when we are facing domestic violence issue, then we can eradicate that problem from our life, because only we can know our problem from depth of the problem rather than others. So, we have to fight for our rights. So, we have to fight against domestic violence issue. So, there is some needs for that fight. We will discuss on that. First one is raise your voice. It means we have to raise our voice or you have to raise your voice against the domestic violence issue. When you are facing domestic violence issue, from that starting point you have to raise your voice, come forward and share your problem or file a complaint or raise your voice to oppose it or to eradicate your problem or to oppose from facing your problem. If you are facing domestic violence issue in your family or outside in your family like in office, then you have to raise voice against that. Then talk to your friends and relatives about it. Don't feel shame for share your problem or inform your problem to your friends or relatives. You can talk to your friends and relatives about your issue, who will solve your problem, not to others. Then take the help of NGO or police. In our society, different NGOs are working for women empowerment or for eradicating the issues or crimes against women. Different NGOs are working on it. So, you can take the help of the NGOs who are working for women empowerment or for development of women society. And also you can take help of police, because implementation of different law and legislation, police always protect the women and there is different provisions for protecting the women. So, you can take the help of police for solve your problem. Then file an FIR which is first information report in the nearest police station where you are facing the domestic violence issue. From that place, which is the nearest police station, you can file an FIR for your problem. Then take the help of the Protection from Domestic Violence Act 2005 and contact the protection officer of your area and register the domestic incident report DIR. You can take the help of the Protection of Domestic Violence Act 2005, because we already discussed about all the provisions under the Domestic Violence Act. You can file a complaint or you can file domestic incident report in front of the protection officer, because in every district, in every area, there is protection officer appointed for to protect the women from their problem, from different crime. So, you can file a DIR which is domestic incident report through protection officer, or you can get different provisions which is under Domestic Violence Act 2005. So, you can take help from that. Then you can also directly go to the magistrate or you can directly meet the magistrate for your problem, or you can inform your problem to the magistrate and can get help from the magistrate. Here is a quotation: end the silence, end the domestic violence. When you will break your silence, you will come forward and step up and break your silence, then you can fight against domestic violence, or you can eradicate the problem which is domestic violence from our society. You can inform police, or you can help of the different NGOs, and also you can raise your voice against the problem. There is different needs to protect yourself from the domestic violence issue. A woman with a voice is always known as strong woman. So, do not feel shame, always raise your voice and always be brave. So, fight against your rights and come forward and solve your problem and find your problem or know your problem from depth and fight for eradicating your problem and also eradicating the issue from our society. Thank you. Keep watching.